G'day and welcome to the Camera Ready Confessions, and I must confess, I'm a little ill. I may not look it, I may not sound it, but trust me, I am very ill. So I want to thank everyone who is watching the live stream today, and I'm going to have to ask for your patience during this time. I am not a machine, even though I may feel like one sometimes. So in that moment, please do check out this replay of an older Camera Ready Confessions, where I might be referring it to at the Video Confidence Connect, depending on which one I end up choosing. You've got this, I believe in you, and I'll see you next week. Well, I will hopefully be more alive. Bye. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I stand with the traditional custodians of these lands in working towards a more equal future. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people continue to face discrimination and disadvantage due to our country's colonial past. I stand with them in their fight against injustice. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. And yes, I think some of you know my thoughts about the diatribe stuff, but essentially, people booing Welcome to Country at Anzac Day dawn services. Who the hell are you? And since then, it has come out that it was an organised ploy by people who didn't work last time because they're fascists. Well, guess what? It doesn't work this time. You idiots. Digress. I have my own thoughts about celebrating soldier and warrior culture, but I digress. Welcome to Country is a welcome to country. You respect it, like you do everything else. That is not from everything else that is said by a white man. Enough said on that front. All right, so looking over this past week at the Video Confidence Coach, we are figuring out our Q2 focus. So if you know anyone who is a program manager or an events coordinator, someone who is looking for someone to speak on stages regarding personal branding or video marketing, I am your gal. I'm looking to people to run workshops and offerings throughout the state of Victoria, but I'm always happy to go further afield if need be. So if you know anyone who is in that, particularly looking for that, feel free to float my name out there. So recently, over this past week, we have had a fair few chats with various people. You've seen me rummaging around in your inbox and your LinkedIn inboxes, as well as email and reaching out in the meantime. I've had great chats with Vicky, the story shaman, so please do reach out to her, as she is, as of tomorrow, having a pilot program released. I don't think you're able to book in now, but you can definitely do so for her future programs. Also had a chat with Catalina, also had a chat with Matt, and I want to thank everyone who I've had conversations with this week that I don't want to release your names because we're still figuring stuff out, and I don't want to release anything until we have it all sorted. And I specifically want to thank Judy Murdoch of Marketing Rootwork for being able to, comment on some of my posts and give me ideas for ways to give concrete examples of what I do. I do speak very generalized and nebulously, and thank you so much for picking up on that. I do try and keep it in a general format, especially when I say something, you're not just, if you don't have the context, you're not left out. But I realized I have so many clients that I could put the concrete message and work that I'm doing into a concrete format. That would be smart of me, wouldn't it? So we are definitely going to be doing that. So starting soon, I will be recording episodes of the Customer Success Series, where essentially we're going to go putting personal branding and video marketing into a solid example format for you to use and follow and check out if you like or not. So thank you for that, Judy. So moving on to the Unboring Your Brand podcast. We have recently launched episode 109, Content Isn't Your Strategy. We had a couple of interesting conversations around that on the YouTube and Spotify and honestly my email DMs around this particular episode. The episode essentially was clarifying something that I definitely do with my clients, and I apologize if you have been one of my clients and this is kind of been the formatting, the framing of which we have had our conversation. When it comes to thinking of the format, the final format first, rather than any of the messaging or any of the work behind it, you have a tendency of boxing yourself in. or not putting in the right amount of work for what you ultimately want people to take action on. For example, we know, like, when it comes to your content, is not your entire marketing strategy. It is a tool, and it is a very useful tool when it comes to growing and building your personal brand, but it's not the only tool that you have. And of course, a lot of people think in terms of content because that's what they see on websites, that's what they see on social media, that's what they see on email newsletters or on billboards or out in the real world. That is what they see, and that's what they interact with. But at the end of the day, when you are growing a personal brand, you are more than likely speaking at events, leading, you are providing one-on-one consultations, group consultations, masterminds, however you are conducting your expertise and your knowledge expertise. They are doing it because they like you. I forgot to press the button again. They are doing it because they want you, not just the content that you produce. And when it comes to your message, you can repurpose it thousands of different ways. But thinking of it as an Instagram reel, or thinking about it as a video ad that's going to play before a YouTube video, kind of minutes everything to a deal where it no longer has impact for yourself, but also loses momentum for yourself to actually get it done. You can find out more in the episode 109, Content Isn't Your Strategy, on the Unboring Your Brand podcast feed. And we're also loading up a couple more podcasts as we go, so I'm actually ahead. Look at me, not just shooting from the hip. When it comes to the podcast, I do want to remind, so I have had a couple of people reach out to me as of late. No, the podcast is not a guest podcast, therefore you cannot guest on it because it is not a guest podcast. I've never had guests on it. I am looking to probably at the start of next year start a guest format podcast. That's where the guests will go. Conversations I've had with people that are really inspiring to me and also potentially inspiring to you about growing a personal brand, that will be the place for it. But for now, it doesn't exist. So give me a sec to have it exist first before you start pitching me again and again and again. Don't worry, this isn't you. This is just aimed at the people who are sending me various emails. When it comes to the Vic Podcasters, which is our Victorian-based podcasting group on Facebook, LinkedIn, and email newsletter, we have had some updates. So on the particular podcast, we had the April check-in. I scooched that in just before the end of April. I may have dropped the ball a little bit on our monthly check-in episode, so I apologize for that if you really hanker out for those. Basically put, I had paid work and clients that I focused on rather than, even though it was supposed to be an easier thing for me to do, guess what? Didn't do it. So thank you all for joining me on checking in with that. And that's essentially a short 3-minute review of what's happening on the groups. Again, the LinkedIn, Facebook, and email newsletter groups. We've had a lot of great discussions as of late, but the big hullabaloo at the moment, and I want to thank everyone who reminded me that I had the wrong date on the banners for the Q2. Let me focus. Our next event is going to be talking about video podcasts. So if you are a podcaster, whether you do it professionally as a hobby, or maybe you have it as a supplemental tool to growing your personal brand or your business, video podcasting, if you aren't doing it already, or you already have the skills and production quality to be able to achieve it, can be quite daunting. And a lot of these platforms, your YouTube, your Spotify's, your big players, are constantly pushing it down our throats that video podcasting is the biggest thing since sliced bread when it comes to podcasting. And to be honest, it isn't really true, but there is a lot of myths circulating around video podcasting. Do you need it to survive as a business? Like, yes, we definitely seen the podcasting TikTok definitely grow over the past couple of years, but is that worth the time and energy and effort that it will take to grow or even sustain the growth of your podcast? That is what we are going to talk about in our upcoming Q&A. You've got episodes, now what? Video plus growth plus money live Q&A. And that is on the 24th of June, 2026 from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Melbourne time. And if you aren't able to make the event live, please do send your questions by registering in the registering via the link below, and that is on Humanitics. And if not, you can feel free to Google that event. It will definitely show up. So essentially, this event is something that we like to run once every quarter, answering people's questions about a specific subject. And these are for the peoples who are definitely in the weeds, who are definitely in the thick of podcast creation, You have gotten momentum, you've got your process, you've gotten things pretty much going. And then the leering head of video podcasting keeps rising up and keeps distracting you. And the Zoë Wood, your video confidence coach, is going to lead this discussion, because even though it may be implied by my business name, video isn't always the answer to everything. And video podcasts, I think, do work for a certain type of podcast. That's not necessarily every single podcast. And if it's not already the potential to build and work with your audience, yes, you can attract new listeners. But you can put that effort and energy into guesting on other people's podcasts, guesting on and collaborating with other people who are in your particular industry or your particular, genre of podcasting. That's better spent time than necessarily going to video podcasting. Maybe video podcasting might be useful for repurposing, but that is what the Q&A is going to discover. So you had a chance to ask your questions, and if you want a specific case study of your particular podcast, please do register using the link below, and I'll make sure to go through and answer your questions there. I've produced hundreds of podcasts at this point and run multiple 100-episode podcasts for myself and for clients. So if you have any questions, please do reach out. Drop them either in the Facebook, LinkedIn, or email newsletter. Or reply via the email newsletter, or just register to the event, and I'll see you then. Awesome! All right. So looking back, so that's what we've got going on. We've had a couple of discussions about various things pulling up, and if you want to get some questions answered about your podcast, please do reach out in the Vic Podcasters groups. So moving on to today's topic, and you clicked on it, we're talking about how do I stop over-explaining. So we are going to do our usual thing here at Camera Ready Confessions. We're going to start off with some community questions, which are essentially short, bite-sized questions that I answer in rapid succession, doing my best not to ramble. And then we'll go on to the crux of our live stream today, which is going to be recording an episode of the Unboring Your Brand podcast, all about stopping people-pleasing online. Yes, and that's what I think when it comes to over-explaining. There's a lot of factors, but ultimately, you'll see where I'm going with this. Because again, as I've mentioned in other previous podcasts, feel free to listen to those or check out on the website vcc.training/podcast. You can find out more just by searching regarding social media. When it comes to that, social media is rented land. These platforms are designed to hold attention and make money. That is their prerogative. And as the small business owner trying your best to be seen by the people who are going to like you, trust you, know you, and then eventually buy from you, to be seen on these platforms is very crucial. I understand. That's why I don't completely disheart people or completely dissuade people from getting off social media altogether. How does a room feel when you walk into it? How does it sit into it? Is it comfortable? Is it not supposed to be comfortable? That type of rhetoric, which can seem quite far from her initial niche that she was in the first place. But when you think about the box that she's in, well, not really. Her personal brand was strong enough to be able to go to that new area of interest for her, and people followed. Why? Because she had a strong personal brand that built trust, that had a clear message, that had consistent visual appeal, had value-driven content, and was authentic. And it was okay. It went from the different particular niches that she was working with because you're inside that box. That's given you and given her something to focus on when she's moving into that part of her life. And she's honestly so much happier about it. So, how do you go about stop over explaining every time. So there's a couple of factors in here. And of course, in today's episode, we'll go into some community questions, which will hit hard into that feeling of over explaining. And then we'll also go into, honestly, what I think is one of the crux issue when it comes to over explaining: people pleasing online. So come with me on this little journey and this little rant that I'm going to do when it comes to over-explaining yourself online. You aren't alone by feeling you need to give context. You need to give thoughts. You need to not be misunderstood. And that is a complete and utter I sympathize with you, especially when you're online. And when you are growing a personal brand, which is what I do at the Video Confidence Coach, it can be quite annoying to have someone online, a drive-by comment, as I like to call them, or maybe even people who you thought understood what you do, misunderstand you. Misunderstand your message, misunderstand your context, misunderstand your examples, misunderstand how you're trying to communicate with them. Because we want to get our ideas, we want to exchange our passions, we want to exchange our energy so that you feel motivated to take that next step. If that next step is like booking in a session with me, or maybe for you it is just follow, subscribe, sign up. If that is like that's a pretty big action for someone to take. But most likely you just want them to stick around and learn more about what they can do to better improve themselves, improve their business, improve their lives. That's what you're trying to do. And when you're over-explaining, it comes from a place of fear, from the you will not be understood. And I understand. I sympathize. I find myself in this position a lot, honestly. I am maybe the video confidence coach, but I do lack confidence sometimes. No, not practice, more so, which is what you can check out my other podcasts about that specifically. This is more in relation to feeling the need to overexert myself to be clear, to be understood. Because if I don't, the consequences will be that maybe you take the wrong thing from what I've said, or maybe you do the wrong action that may put your life or your business or your personal brand in jeopardy. I don't want to be the reason for that, but everyone is their own catalyst. Everyone has their own actions and they can decide what they do because they're adults. And when I'm talking to the kids that I mentor, I do find myself over-explaining a lot because I want to be able to give them the context. But again, everyone is their own person. And this need to over-explain is to cushion that blow when something goes wrong. Then when a mistake is made, where you've said the wrong word, where you stumbled, and look at me, I stumble all the time. And I just want you to address that. I want you to be aware of that and not always like carry it like a monkey on your shoulder every time you're trying to communicate what you do to your audience. I just want you to think about being clear is being kind with your audience. You can bring the energy, you can bring the passion. I do all the time. Welcome to the show. I still want you to walk away with a clear understanding, and ultimately with everything that I do, as part of my mantra, I want you to be able to walk away with a clear next action. And after listening or watching me today, I want your next action to be, think about what is that fear from you? What is that fear that's inside you that if a mistake is made, if someone doesn't understand what you're saying, where is that fear coming from? And once you can identify that fear, that underlying, like, you know, your gut dropping, your gut being full of butterflies, your heart dropping, what is that fear? Being able to name it, think about it, even if it is for like 30 seconds, just in silence, not staring at a screen, not staring at anything in particular. Take that time to breathe. And once you're aware of what that fear is, once you catch yourself over-explaining to your next potential client or your next, family, friend conversation that you have, if you find yourself over-explaining, allow yourself to take that breath. Understand that fear that you've already identified, because you've already taken the next action, you understand where that's coming from. You take a breath, you breathe, and then you start from the top. Or maybe you take a breath and ask a question of the other person you're having a conversation with. It is okay to check in. You aren't weak for asking, does this make sense? Am I clear? Do you understand what to do next? You aren't weak for asking those type of questions. You've got this. Now we are going to move on to community questions. So now that I've thoroughly warmed up, we are going to take on... No! Oh my glitter from my nose. Are you going to stay there? No! It's all over my fingers. We'll see if that stays there. There's a good chance it won't. And if not, we're going to just have glitter fly off her face. So... Yeah, I'm checking out the replay on another screen, and yeah, it's slowly moving down my nose. Today we're going to be doing some community questions. So ultimately, community questions are just quick videos that I turn into social media posts, that I write articles about, that I use as like a stem point to be able to branch out and just help answer people's questions. So I take this opportunity to do so. So we've got some from Priya, Daniel, and Brooke, and we are going to take a breath. Have you asked, what is your BFM today? Check it out at VCC/BFM, and we'll go straight into the community questions. And then if you get to that 12, you hated the experience, you hated the time, you hated how it made you feel, and by those 12 episodes, the reason I sit at 12 is because 8 is the usually when people just get tired and give up podcasting in general. Get to that 12, and if you absolutely hate the experience, maybe podcasting isn't for you. It isn't for your brand. It isn't for your business. Then that's okay. You're going to stop there. It's going to be a limited series. It's going to do what it needs to do. Is this you? How do I stop over-explaining and get to the point faster? Well, Priya, I am answering this question for you. We had a nice conversation, but ultimately you said you know your stuff, but every time I'm online, every time I've got a camera in my face, I end up just 1 point devolves into 5, and then I lose people halfway through, and I'm trying to get to the point. I'm really trying to get to the point. Don't worry, I feel you, Priya. So ultimately, when it comes to over-explaining, it's a twofold sandwich. It's a very sad sandwich with 2 points. It's a very clear two thing. It's a case of you do not want to be misunderstood, and you also have that underlying fear that there is going to be a mistake being made, or someone's going to take your, a miscommunication and run with it, and something's going to happen. Like your brain can cascade and fall into a couple of things from there. What I want you to do is to take the time, maybe even some 30 seconds from here, take the time, breathe, and really sit with yourself. Where do you feel it in your body? This fear of this panic almost that you need to over-explain. And then identify that. Where in your body are you feeling it? And then being able to put a name to it. Is this fear, are you worried that someone's going to react to you strongly, be it in a positively or negative way if they misunderstand you? Are you going to receive consequences? Think about that in your head. And then next time you have a conversation about your personal brand, about your business, maybe with a leader or client, or even if you're talking to a family friend or someone else, and you feel that well of panic rise inside you, that you're over-explaining, take the time, pause, and breathe. And maybe even ask them a question. Are you making sense? Is that clear? Do you know what to do next? And no matter what their answer is, because I'm sure you can be intelligent enough to take the next step from there, whatever their answer is, you're able to identify in yourself that, yes, this fear is here, but I'm still alive. And taking that time, eventually you will practice, and I won't say you'll magically learn to be precise overnight, or you'll be direct to the point every single time. We aren't machines, we are humans. But you've got this, Priya. I believe in you. Or niche down, depending on who you speak to. And that still holds true. But I like to take a slightly different perspective on it. And I like to, when communicating with people who maybe are new to building their personal brand, again, everyone has a personal brand. It's nothing new. It's just sometimes it takes a while for you to acknowledge your personal brand, but then also take time to invest in it, which is why changes, especially dramatic changes, happen in such a short time for some people. So instead of being able to say niche down, niche down, niche down, I like to say people, think inside the box. Not necessarily outside the box, but think inside the box. This gives you the opportunity to focus your thinking, focus who you actually want to help. Now, of course, you can help people outside of the box, but focusing on the people inside the box allows you to be able to continue to have a strong personal brand. My videos are too long because I keep adding extra context and it probably doesn't need to be there. Don't worry, Daniel, I have totally got you and I feel you on this because this happens to me a lot. Welcome, I'm Zoe. Welcome, I'm Zoe Video. Welcome, I'm Zoe, your video confidence coach, and this question was from Daniel. The question was, how do I stop over-explaining in a video and say exactly what matters clearly? Well, ultimately, this helps when you are growing a personal brand and you are doing a video for whatever reason, obviously. And from here, what can be helpful is a dot point script. Just 3 dot points, really clear, maximum 5 words that help keep you on track. Because when it comes to over-explaining, we have a tendency of wanting to pile on information so that we're not misunderstood. And I'm going to tell you now, sometimes it's going to happen with people. Sometimes it's just going to happen no matter what. And for you to be okay and sit with that and be okay with people misunderstanding you for whatever reason, sometimes it's intentional because they want to act stupid, but sometimes it's a genuine misunderstanding. That's okay. Take that time to breathe and then ask them what they need. And if you're recording a video and you're not able to get much from the camera, just take that time to breathe and record again. You can always do it again. There's no reason for you to have to do this one time. You've got this, Daniel. Breathe, take it again. He says, I'm not a camera person, I like voiceovers, and that's all right. And that's okay too. You've still got your energy and your voice is still a personality of you. And when people are calling you, are messaging you, are reaching out to you to work with you, they're going to hear your voice. So a voiceover is usually okay for most instances, especially, for example, like Cherry, who works in graphic design, where most of her services of graphic design, which is the output, usually speaks for itself most of the time. Do you feel like you're just word vomiting every time you record a video? Well, I'm Zoë Wood, your video confidence coach, and here is a straightforward process on how to do that. Had recently had a conversation with Brooke, and ultimately she's worried about how to stop over-explaining in her messages and in her content without just sounding vague or too generalistic, or ultimately sounding like an AI. And that is a complete understanding and a feeling that I have for you, Brooke. So when it comes to feeling the need to over-explain yourself, it usually comes from a place of being a fear of being misunderstood, and you provide layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of like a context lasagna, because you feel like you have to give people this context or they're just going to be lost. They're going to be floating in space without your guidance. And that is probably true, but your audience is smarter than that. Your potential clients are smarter than that. And to give them that, knowledge that they are smart enough, you can always just wait for the questions to come in. Wait for the, comments, the thoughts, or even people who are having meetings with you. You can have that time to be able to provide more context then. This comes with experience. And especially in those moments when you're starting to feel panicked and you feel the need to over-explain, being able to take a breath, look back at your script, or look back at your dot points, like a list of 3 dot points, to be able to get yourself back on track. Yes, we can ramble. Yes, we can pull away and go on little tangents, go on little stories. That's okay, that's human. But when it comes to over-explaining, that feel and that need is coming from a place of fear. You are not to be afraid. You've got this, Brooke. Because, and I'm going to say this now, for a lot of businesses that I work with, the social media is used ultimately as proof that you're still in business, that you're still working. People check your Google and Bing. And thank you for joining me on those community questions. So I realized as I was doing that last goodbye, as I was doing that last goodbye kiss, I could feel the glitter fall off my face. So I think I may have lost most of the glitters. I might need to put some more gel in my little glitter pot. Eventually it's all drying out. But today we're going to focus on the Unboring Your Brand podcast recording, which is all going to be about stopping people pleasing. So I hope you enjoyed those community questions, those nice, short, sharp questions, which I will edit and put on social media. I promise. When it comes to social media specifically, things take a little bit longer than I intend just because I'm not lazy per se, but I prefer to work on client work. I prefer to work on my website. I prefer to work on other places where I know get genuine results than social media. What is your BFM? Yes. So let's move on to the Unboring Your Brand podcast recording today, talking about how to stop people pleasing online. And when you first start out with a podcast, I highly recommend doing a limited series. A limited series is a podcast, is a series of 20-minute conversations, either with another person or just with yourself. Now, of course, this will take time and practice to put into place. And having this be, say, 12 episodes. So then once that 12 episode period is done, you will have learnt a lot. I've got some truth to tell you. Come here. If you want to be known in your niche or in your industry, you will eventually annoy someone. It's going to happen. It's all right. Come here. We got this. Give me a hug. Welcome to the Unboring Your Brand podcast, and we'll pick it up from the top. And breathe out. Sorry, I am a bit of a tight hugger there. So we have a question all the way from Tucker where we had a nice quick conversation, and I'll look forward to chatting with you again in the future, Tucker. The ultimate question that we're answering in today's podcast is, how do I build a strong personal brand without getting dragged into some internet drama or some internet tea or trying to just please everyone? And that's the two sides of that little weight or the pendulum there. And I understand where Tucker is coming from. That is definitely true. If you aren't causing controversy online, it definitely feels like you're just people pleasing online. And to an extent, that is actually true. As we get, further and further down this internet rabbit hole as a global society, getting attention online very much feels like you need to be, stirring up some shit to be able to get people's attention. And I want to stress, this feeling is fleeting attention, viral attention, not long-term attention. And when we are growing our personal brands or our business brands, we want this to be long-term attention. Now, sure, you could get followers, subscribers, or maybe even some good sales in that time. But then once that hype dies down, once the tea wears off, you're kind of left sitting in the mud by yourself. And that goes for whenever you were in that goes for like your childhood, whenever, something happened and you were kind of just left there at the end of it. And that also goes for now, because we all can conjure up in our mind an influencer or maybe someone of that ilk who does shady things over and over again. They have like snarky subreddits devoted to them. And it's very much a feeling of like, I don't want to be like that to be able to attract attention or to sustain attention on the message that I want to put out there, the people that I want to help. I want to be the leader that this personal brand is demanding of me. But I can't do that if I have to be slimy and icky in the meantime. Or on the opposite side of the pendulum, you have to people please everyone that you meet just to be able to get a sale, get your message out there. And when you are growing a personal brand, it can be scary stepping into leadership, especially if you're someone who's not personally inclined in it. I am myself what is known as is what is known as a natural born leader, mainly because I was forced to in leadership situations my entire life. So I became a natural born leader out of just nurture, just shoving me into that particular box. And where being a leader is not as much of a pain for me as I have seen from other people in my life, be it my family, be it my friends, and be it my clients. And when you are growing a personal brand, it is not just about posting content. You are ultimately becoming a leader online or moving your real world leadership into an online version, especially when it comes to your personal brand. And this includes having opinions, being a connoisseur of taste. And not everyone is going to agree with that taste that you have developed over however many years of experience that you have in your industry. And not everyone is going to like every opinion that you have. Oh no, that's going to happen. Now, as you may be listening or watching this, you may think, Zoe, who gives a crap? That is true. And for some people, they're going to be scared shitless by that fact. And when it comes to most, if not all of the platforms right now who are doing their best to mine human attention, a lot of these platforms reward emotional and right now, most of these platforms will reward emotion and outrage over nuance, over message. And it can be easy to confuse having an opinion with manufacturing controversy if those opinions do not meet the status quo of insert your industry here, of your local community, or what have you. And everyone is allowed to have opinions. Not all of them are correct, but that's the point of having opinions. You're supposed to be human. And when it comes to being the connoisseur of taste, if people wanted just a generic output, if people wanted just a generic step-by-step guide on how to do something, they've got AI for that. They've got Google for that. They've got Bing for that. They've got places they can go. You are growing a personal brand to help the people you want to serve, to get your message out there nice and clear. And to do so, you have to be that arbiter, that connoisseur of taste. What are things people can forget and let go? What are things that are going to be useful? What are tools that they can use to better themselves or to better the situation of their family or their friends? Again, when you are talking to people, you are not necessarily talking directly to your target market, by the way. You're sometimes talking to other people. And to be seen or shone on a glimmer that is this internet that is full of people vying for your attention, it can feel like I don't want to be someone who is constantly having the tea, sis, read about them, just because I just don't want to be that type of person. I don't want to be that type of influencer, and I also don't want to cultivate that type of energy in my community. Now, don't get me wrong. Your girl loves a good gossip, and you can check that out on my podcast episodes about gossip. And it's because gossip is mainly considered a woman's thing, and therefore it is denied by patriarchal society, because when men do it, it's not gossip. Recently had some family members, men, who were gossiping, and as soon as I called it what it is, they immediately freaked out. It's not gossip, it's man talk. It's called gossip. But getting back to the point at hand, when it comes to these algorithms, whether or not we want to win it or not, we are being influenced by them. And they push reactions so that they can train people to perform bigger and louder to attract more attention. I'm beginning to sound like one of those, if you've ever taken a flight and they do the safety announcement, I'm beginning to sound like that. My apologies there. It is understandable when you see that online, or maybe your algorithm is finally susceptible to it and it very much pushes that type of stuff towards your way. And it can feel like that's the only way to grow. That's the only way to develop a community. That's the only way to grow a personal brand, is to be honestly dramatic. And it can be normal to feel rattled if you get pushback for your opinions, or like I said, your connoisseur of taste. Because you feel like you're right. You have the expertise and knowledge about whatever industry you happen to be in. You're not always right, but you definitely feel right in the moment. And when you get pushback, that discomfort can definitely feel overwhelming. And in the rare events where you have multiple people, or bots, could be bots, reacting to you on either a certain platform or all platforms, where something that you did, or maybe something even you didn't do, that feeling of discomfort can feel like danger. But when that reaction develops into doxing, that is real danger. And I'm not saying this to be negative, and I'm not saying that once it crosses into harassment, threats and doxing, that it's not a part of branding, because that's a safety issue, I want to stress. And make sure that you yourself and your family and your business partners, your friends, your staff, whoever you're working with are safe, and you have to make sure of that, because it is your personal brand. You are the leader. You are the one in charge, whether you like it or not. And this drive and need to people please, either in your day-to-day life, in your messages, in your content, is a real fear for everything that I've just mentioned. But I'm going to tell you now that that's not going to happen. And if it does, I'm going to tell you now there's probably plenty of community and people who support you who will back you up. There is always going to be people contrary to your beliefs, contrary to your values. That you're just going to come across people like that. And sometimes there are like drive-by comments, which I like to call them drive-bys, because they ultimately aren't sticking around to see what happens. And you are doing this to serve your community. And I have been accused of this plenty of times, where I am doing my best to be warm, full of gratitude, and to be helpful to people who reach out for my help. Now, at times do I make it quite clear, like, hey, I don't have capacity right now. Here are the things that will be useful for you. Here is an answer to your question, but a bit, like, I still do my best to be helpful and to keep warm, but that is not people pleasing. That is called customer service. And if you are doing the same, if you are trying to keep your tone warm for the people who genuinely want to help, if you're trying to keep your tone warm for the people that you genuinely want to help, you can still do that while holding boundaries, while being clear that you won't respond in the next 30 seconds, that your opening times are from here to here. Outside of that, you are there for your family, for your friends, for your community. And the people that want more from you aren't necessarily the people who are going to pay to want more from you. And that is my boundaries. If you want more of my time, you are going to have to pay for it. I can answer a question easily. Happy to have a yarn, happy to have a good chat. But anything beyond that requires payment. I am a business owner. I am a personal brand builder. And if you want my inspiration, my thoughts, my creativity to feed into an AI machine, no. You're going to have to pay me a lot more than that. Probably in the billions, to be perfectly honest. And when you are people pleasing, and you can sense it in yourself, maybe friends and family are telling you like, hey, it's getting a bit much. Or maybe you're just looking back at a recent video that you recorded and you're noticing it. Or you're noticing this drive at, say, midnight, where you're answering emails or answering DMs from a recent video that you posted, and you're like, I'm people pleasing. I'm trying to constantly push to please the people. I want you to ask yourself what you stand for and what you won't compromise on, even if it costs you engagement, likes, follows, reshares. Which is why I find it very helpful when I work with people who can clearly articulate their values, their boundaries, and also who they clearly work for. And for example, recently over these past couple of weeks, I have expanded the people that I work for into like 3 avatars. Most people I recommend 1 because it kind of starts you and gets you clearly focused. For me, it's gotten to the point of my business and my personal brand where I now work for clearly 3 different customer avatars. But I still have the same values that go across all of that. My values of leadership, of courage, are still very much forefront for what I do. And it's a privilege that I am able to run my business, grow my personal brand, help others grow their personal brand with those values in mind. And when it comes to people pleasing, it is pushing those values aside, just brushing them off to the side. Oh, I can do this for money. But to be honest, a lot of the time it's mainly just your attention, your energy, your effort, and feeling the need to constantly grovel at the feet of people who may or may not pay you. Once the money is in the bag, then I perform. Then I do my little circus monkey dance. In that meantime, I'm happy to support and help you grow your personal brand, but there are boundaries in place. And when it comes to your opinions and being worried about things being taken the wrong way, your opinions will be controversial to someone. They could be the most vanilla, mundane, milquetoast opinions, but people are still going to have a problem with it. And your opinions, I stress, can evolve over time, can change once you get new information, because that's what opinions are. They should change and evolve over time. But they should still relate to your values, your core values. What you feel when it's real, verifiable information that changes your perspective. Because again, you are the connoisseur, you are the personal brand builder, you are the one putting in the work, and you are the one with the clear and articulate message that you want to put out there in the world. And you've got opinions, goddammit, and you are going to express them. But ultimately, the point of this feeling, this drive to people please, can be thwarted by this need for consistency and trust. People should know what you're about and what you're not about. The type of people that you want to work with as your clients and the people who are not a great fit. Your personal brand is ultimately leadership. It is not people pleasing. It is not bending over backwards to fulfill someone's fantasy. There are other jobs for that. Having opinions and being a connoisseur of taste for your particular niche or industry is normal and honestly is expected in these days. And is honestly expected in this day and age. Why? Because AI can give you generic slop. You are here as the personal brand builder, that leader, and in turn, you need to be able to be clear with your message. Manufacturing controversy is honestly optional, and to be honest, can sometimes happen depending on how spicy that opinion is. But if you stand by it and it agrees with your values, screw it. That's your opinion. And I don't want you to immediately go double back if that feeling is ever threatened by someone. Because again, it aligns with your values and who you want to serve. So you don't feel the need to double back because it's what you believe in. I'm not saying if you make a mistake, you can't walk it back. Sometimes mistakes happen. But algorithms honestly just reward outrage because it drives engagement. It drives attention and it drives clicks. But you need your boundaries to help you stay sane as a human on this world. And you need your boundaries to be on purpose, not just flexibly moving around to please the next person that comes down the line who could potentially give you money, but honestly just sucking up your attention and time. And even if they do give you money, that does not necessarily mean that they can break your boundaries. A warm tone but firm values can exist at the same time. a little pendulum that we talked about earlier. The middle is still being kind, because being clear is kind, but also being clear on your boundaries. And your boundaries can simply be that any more than, say, 5 messages in a DMs would require someone booking in a session with you. And if they go, hey, I can't afford that, then like, cool, that's your boundaries. And give them a next step. Do you have a podcast or a live stream? Or would it be best to maybe move the conversation on email where you can get a better understanding of what they need? And if they are looking for something that is clearly a paid service of yours but do not have the funds to pay, say thank you. Give them some next steps that would be beneficial to them, but you aren't owed. But you don't owe them anything. Yes, they want support, and you can definitely give it to them. But that does not mean that it takes up all your time and energy, because you don't need to please everyone. And when it comes to safety issues, or when things get very dramatic, it's no longer content problems. It's about getting the support when that escalates. And I want to stress if, because we do see this out in the world, and sometimes in particular niches it can happen a lot, because they are inherently very opinionated, very connoisseur-driven industries. And that's okay. It's going to happen sometimes. But I want you to rely back on your support network, of your community, of your family, of your friends. And if those things aren't strong, invest that time in strengthening those bonds, in talking to friends who are outside of your niche, who do not give a crap what you do or who you serve or your message. They care about, are you okay? They care about you. And those are the type of people that you need to constantly have access to. If that does mean that you have to take the initiative, go ahead and do that. But trust is built when your message is consistent, your values are clear, your boundaries are clearer, even under pressure. And I want you to do that for me. Thank you, and welcome to the end of the podcast, where I will have some extra recommended episodes lined up for you after listening to this one. You can check out the episode that I talked about gossip. You'll find all the details in the show notes in the first link of the episode. But the other episodes I'd love you to line up are episode 83. You are not for everyone, and that's perfect. That is further delineating and carrying on what we talked about people pleasing, but specifically talking about having a clearer message. And then we've got episode 52 that I'd love you to line up, which is Trust, Stop Selling, Start Belonging, which is all about visibility, leading with values, and not just chasing reactions. Look, everything that we talked about today solidified a bit more for you. And what I would love you to do is, if you haven't spent the time really articulating or thinking about your values, what I would like you to do is just to spend 5-10 minutes without a screen, maybe with some pen and paper. I'm just going to give you my pen and paper. I have my little booklet of some pen and paper, and just take some time maybe thinking of just some values, or the values that you hold dear. And if it helps, maybe putting it into a sentence so you can articulate it better to other people. It helps if you have, say, maybe some 3 words that you stand for, and maybe 2 things that you won't stand for, like what you won't engage with. And if you put that all in a sentence, it's easier to deliver to other people. For example, I help values-led business owners show up on video without all that hype. I don't do drama marketing. I don't debate my right to exist. And that is something that you can do in your own work. You can start leading with those values and also leading with that message. You can generate an entire series of content about that. But for now, let's focus on not having you people please every second of the day, because it's exhausting. The next best fit that I would love you to check out, if you are someone who is in this situation right now and you are unclear about who you talk to, why you talk to them, or just need the time to really focus on your values from a personal branding content, video content lens, because because I'm your gal, or feel free to check out the Glow and Grow branding session to sharpen your brand and to sharpen what you stand for so your message is clear and steady. Because remember, clear is kind. You can check out the link in the second link in the description for that. You can also check out the second link in the description for that, for the Glow and Grow branding session. Or if you're just quite unsure about how, you want to work together, you want to have a chat, again, you're not just taking up my time and just burning it into the ether. Happy to always have a disco chat. You can check out that in the second link in the description. That is vcc.training/disco. And yes, we do a bit of disco dancing. I have a couple of people ask questions. I'm a fan of some disco. And as I would like to close up today, I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next week. The next thing I want to get onto is value-driven content. And let me hear that. Oh yeah, we're doing it right now on the podcast, on the live stream. Look at us going right now. So value-driven content is sharing your knowledge, your tips, your insights to help your audience solve their own problems. Sorry to cut you off there, Zoe. Thank you everyone for joining us for this Camera Ready Confessions. Thank you everyone for your comments and questions, thoughts and ideas, and your own Camera Ready Confessions in the comments. Feel free to check out #ReplaySquad for anyone who's watching us after the live. Hi, don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you. I always make sure to respond to every question that I get, doing my best that I can. If you've missed any part of today's stream, which you possibly have, feel free to watch or listen to the whole live stream on our website, which is vcc.training/camera-ready-confessions. And you'll find this and all of the live streams that we've done. So you can find topics that work for you and for what you need. Now, let's go on to the next bit, which is I think about next week. Okay, so nothing like putting in the effort to make a great video and then have it disappear in the endless scroll of the algorithm. When everything online feels flashier, louder, faster, and even more crowded than ever before, it is easy to think that you need to explain more and push harder to be noticed, because that's how it feels on a daily basis. But I'm going to tell you now that mentality and that feeling backfires. You become incredibly exhausted real quick. Your message gets buried under extra words, under your point that takes a bit too long to land, and people move on with their day before it even clicks what you're really asking them to do. On this upcoming Camera Ready Confessions, I, Zoë Wood, your video confidence coach, help you look for clear content that cuts through where busy content just doesn't. You'll see what actually helps your message land quickly, and how that graininess noise can show up in your delivery, and why trying to keep up with everyone else can dilute your impact, because you're here to grow a personal brand and serve your audience, and that can be mistaken by other people. So if you're interested, I would love you. Make sure to watch it live on Friday Make sure to watch this live stream. Make sure to watch Camera Ready Confessions on 10 a.m. Friday. Make sure to watch Camera Ready. Make sure to tune in for this week's Camera Ready Confessions at 10 a.m. Melbourne time on Friday, or you can catch us on the replay when it suits you. Confess your camera sins next week. Same time, same place.